late September, there's still a lot growing in our garden. Of course, there's our cover crop. We have a number of pumpkins that will be ready to harvest soon. Lots of peppers, Swiss chard, Malabar spinach, bok choy, and happily, we still have cherry tomatoes. We harvested these beauties just this weekend. But today I want to talk about our fall and winter garden beds, which if all goes well, will look something like this in a couple of months. If you're familiar with my videos, you may know that we let the winter crops in these beds go to seed in the summer, drop their seeds in place, and decompose in the bed. We don't plant anything new in the beds for the spring or summer. We then rely on the drop seeds from the previous crop to come up as volunteers for the next fall and winter garden. In addition to the volunteers, we intentionally plant some crops, like kale, collards, spinach, and carrots. But for the most part, we rely on volunteers. Our goal is to have low cost, low effort, and mostly self-sustaining garden beds for the fall and winter. This year, however, because of some unusual weather and pest problems, we did have to make a few minor adjustments to our plans to keep our fall and winter garden on track. Mosh is a cold weather crop, so we typically wouldn't expect to see volunteer mosh seedlings emerging in August. But this summer, after a very cool June and July, that's exactly what happened. At the time I was happy to see them, but when temperatures heated up in August and early September, the mosh seedlings that weren't shaded out by other plants died off. Fortunately, many seedlings were shaded and did survive. But to make sure we have plenty of mosh, which is our favorite winter green, I decided to broadcast seeds, making this the first time in the past few years that we didn't rely entirely on volunteers for our mosh crop. Most years, radicchio drops its seeds by late summer, and I can count on some volunteers for the fall and winter garden. This year, however, because of the cool weather, my radicchio plants took forever to go to seed, and I recently ended up pulling most of them up to make room for kale and collard green transplants. Because they didn't have a chance to drop their seeds, I went ahead and sowed some. This may be the first year without radicchio volunteers since our first radicchio crop. Last year we sowed most of our kale and collards directly in the garden beds. Unfortunately, the pests were so bad, many plants didn't survive into the winter. This time of year, the cabbage moths and slugs are a lethal combination. So even if we have a good number of starts, we're not sure to have the number of plants we want after the pests have had their way with them. So this year we started our kale and collards indoors to give them a chance to get started without being disturbed by pests. We recently transplanted most of them into the garden. The cabbage moth caterpillars and slugs are having their way with some of them, but fortunately, most are doing fine. These pests almost have me looking forward to freezing temperatures, when they'll be less of a problem. So our hope is, by making these few minor adjustments, we'll have a fall and winter garden that is as productive as in prior years, while remaining low cost, low effort, and mostly self-sustaining. Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, remember, you can change the world 1 yard at a time.